Hello, accountability buddies. This is Les with another episode of Less is More Healthy. And I am coming to you with this episode from the road. I'm not sure what episode number this is. I think 102, maybe, something like that. And last night I was kind of thinking about like, what are the things that I want to talk about in these episodes, these upcoming 100 episodes. And I've got so many things that are pertinent um, to the vlog and to like my efforts of becoming healthier. And I think the first one that I want to talk about is recovery time and something that I've noticed recently. Um, so, eh, Over the last couple of weeks, and when I was up in Maine, what I noticed was that my recovery time after longer rides was not as good as it had been. And I thought maybe it's just, okay, that rail trail was pretty rough. It beat me up a little bit. My body's just not used to that. But that problem has persisted. Um, and, like a month and a half ago, my body was recovering pretty well. It was like a day or two after exercise, or like longer rides. My body was recovering really well. Um, and then all of a sudden, even after shorter rides, my body was not recovering as well. And that led me to think, like, as I'm like writing out my list of like topics last night, that led me to kind of think about like what's going on, what's happening. Is it the heat? Is it not enough electrolytes? What is it that is making this? And so I was kind of like thinking through like what has changed. Um, and this is almost embarrassing to admit, um, but the thing that has changed is my diet. Um, Now, I've joked around. I don't know if I've joked around on this vlog as I have in person, but the only time my body knows how to use carbs is when I am exercising. Like it just, and any other time I put carbs in my body's like, okay, let's turn this into fat. Um, and my body just doesn't know what to do with carbohydrates, and that's type 2 diabetes in a nutshell. Your body um, is insulin resistant, and it doesn't know what to do with the carbohydrates. So with that, understanding that the only time my body knows how to use carbs is when I'm exercising, I have used exercise, particularly longer rides, as a reason to have carbohydrates. And part of that is I I miss certain carbs. I miss noodles. I miss crusty bread. Um, I miss super sweet peaches and fruit that is, really, really sweet. Um, so that is that's what's going on with that. So I realized like ever since I started adding more carbohydrates into my diet, particularly on those rides, my body is not recovering as well. And I have to wonder if it has to do um, with adding those carbs back into my diet during exercise. And I have to also admit that um, I have also been having way more carbohydrates outside of exercise as well because my body feels like it is handling them better. Now, I don't know. I mean, my numbers are still good, and I still feel good. Um, but I'm wondering if my body is still like, carbs, what are these? I don't know what to do with them. Um, so I'm gonna go back to following a stricter low carb diet than what I have been for the last like 2 3 weeks. It's been closer to a month where I've been like I want to, I don't, I'm going to call it cheating, but it's not, I don't know so much if it's cheating, or it's just like, doing this experimentation. Um, and yeah, I'm feeling kind of weird about that, like having this realization, like the one thing that's really changed in these longer rides is my diet. Um, I've done a good job with like making sure I'm taking in the right amount of electrolytes for my body for the amount that I'm sweating, which is a lot. I am a heavy sweater, and an extremely salty sweater. So I am, having some electrolyte drinks, which is basically like adding a little salt and a little potassium to my diet, so or to a beverage, um, and so I'm just trying to like be a little more careful with adding carbs into the diet, or basically I'm gonna cut it all back out again. Um, and that's a difficult thing, I think, to kind of like have a realization about, a little epiphany last night about like the one thing that has changed in my diet is adding in some carbs, and some relatively larger cheat days. And the other so one of the things that I really miss is like pad thai, Asian food with Asian noodles. Um, and last week when I commuted to work, um, and then commuted home via the bike, and rail trail, I allowed myself to have some pad thai for lunch, and it was delicious. It was everything I wanted in in a pad thai, and then some. It was fantastic. Anyway, what I also noticed is after I had the pad thai, I didn't feel great, and I was not. The ride home was not as good as the ride in terms of how I felt. And part of that is, on my ride in, I was careful in the morning. I had my protein shake, um, but it's very obvious that carbs don't fuel my body in a good way. Um, even for exercise, even when I'm exercising, carbs don't make me feel good, and you know that sucks. It's awful. Carbs are delicious, and as someone who's been a foodie and considers themselves to be a good cook, it's really difficult to have to give up almost an entire category of food so that my body can fuel itself well. um, and I know a lot of people go through even with worse things with um, food allergies, uh, and I'm not going to equate how my body responds, though it is tempting to do so, how my body responds to carbs to a food allergy, um, because the response is not an allergic response. But that's all beside the point. My point is that basically I was doing really, really well with this sort of like getting healthier and fitness routine, and it all felt really good. And then I stopped feeling really good after exercise and post exercise when I changed my diet a little bit. And so that just goes to show like how even little changes, um, and giving in to little urges can make a big difference. And I'm trying to like, give myself the grace. I hate that phrase, give yourself the grace, but like be gentle with myself around this, because it's like it's hard to like radically alter your diet, um, especially when food is a huge part of our culture. And, like, I can't eat potatoes, and that is like kind of a big deal in my family. Um, I can't eat rice anymore, and my that's kind of a big deal to my wife. I can't eat pasta anymore, and that's almost as a big much of a big deal as rice is in my family. Um, so yeah, it's just like having these realizations and understanding that I do have some control over it. I just have to be careful with what I am eating and taking into my body, and using care and caution. But also, like, I can't eat an entire pad thai for lunch, even if I'm going to bike 26 miles to and from work, round trip. So yeah, even though I'm going to ride my bike to work this Friday, I am not going to have pad thai for lunch, though tempting. I am going to see about making sure that I have some smarter lunch options in the freezer and fridge at work for me. That first off, it's a great way to save money. But secondly, it's just necessary, for my health and my wellness. So anyway, I hope my epiphany assists you in um, making changes for your health, and assist you in getting well. Um, so learn from my mistakes. Don't eat carbs even when you're exercising. And with that, thank you, and I'll see you next time.